What I first want to get into is the 2020 presidential election. And we'll start with night two, and I'm an Andrew Yang supporter. I like his freedom dividend. I think it's great for people that want to take a risk and start their own business and become an entrepreneur. So that's why I think the freedom dividend of $1,000 a month is a great policy idea, and that's why I support Andrew Yang. And I think he did okay in the debate. He probably had the lowest amount of on-screen time during the debate. I think in total he answered like 3 questions and then he had a final closing statement. Probably totaled about 4 minutes. And the problem was that he was playing by the rules. I think he was the only one on the stage that was playing by the rules, and he was being too nice, and everyone else was just breaking the rules. So, when they told him like you can only say 1 or 2 words, Andrew Yang would stick to that better than anyone else, and the other politicians on the stage would just go on and on forever, and they'd have to be cut off like 20 times before they would stop, and people were like interrupting each other and cutting people off. Yeah, so I think next debate, I think Andrew Yang's got to be a little bit more on the attack and kind of realize that the rules are kind of just rough guidelines for these debates, and he needs to really just get his policy ideas out, because I think his policy ideas are really great and people need to hear him. And I think he's actually really the best when people start to question his ideas, because that's when his like debating skills really come out. But yeah, he didn't really get much to say in the debate, but I don't really know how effective these debates are going to be for the poll numbers. I'm talking about like the mainstream the mainstream debates, because I feel like more people watch things online nowadays, and maybe the mainstream debates, they don't even really hold that much weight. I guess we'll see in a couple of days or in a week or so when the new polls come out to see if they actually had a real result, or if it's just kind of like total BS at this point and mainstream media is totally dead. But anyways, who I think did the best is actually Kamala Harris. She was on the attack against other people, and I thought she actually did pretty well. Even though I don't really like her policy ideas that much, just from a debate standpoint, I thought she really stood out, and she had some strong kind of emotional stories that she told that connected well. Bernie did okay, Biden did okay. There was a lot of people attacking Biden, actually. Bernie started out kind of like with okay answers, but then I thought he got better with his answers and kind of had a more positive spin of what his policy ideas were. And then there was some of the candidates polling at 0%, like Eric Swalwell, who kind of came out of nowhere. I honestly never heard him speak before ever until the debate, but he was actually on the attack, and he actually kind of made things entertaining, I thought. He was like attacking Biden a lot, and he was just, to me, he kind of represented what was like an internet comment section. Like he was just kind of like just on the attack for like kind of superficial things, but also some kind of deeper cutting things. And he kept saying like, oh, this is our generation, like I guess a younger generation. And then there was some other candidates that I don't even really remember their names, but they were polling at 0%, and I think they did okay, but I don't know if it's enough to increase their polls. I think maybe Kamala Harris' polls going to go up a little bit, if anyone's polls are going to go up, but Buttigieg, whatever his name is, I think he did okay. He had some good answers. He's actually a pretty good speaker, but he doesn't have a ton of specific policy ideas. I also thought like the crowd was like weren't the tickets for, if you went to both the debate nights, I think the tickets were like $4,500. So it's like, who is gonna afford that? Like, what regular person's gonna afford that? So I think they were just like special interest groups, because you could tell they were cheering like a lot for like Biden and even Buttigieg. Just kind of the mainstream candidates, they were getting a lot of audience applause because of the the special donors and the corporate kind of lobbyists were in the audience. And then like when people like Yang or even Bernie would lay out one of their policy points, there would be like almost no applause. So it's like, okay, like they had the audience kind of rigged as well. And I thought the questions honestly could have been way better, because a lot of times the questions were like, they just dragged on forever, and it's like you don't even know what the question is by the time they finished. And the candidates, you could even see them, I don't know if like the like monitors they had for the candidates were just really low, but like even they were like leaning in sometimes, like they couldn't really hear them, or they didn't really understand what the question was. Yeah, I feel like the questions could have been a lot more concise and a lot better. Like they didn't really talk about the economy that much. They didn't really talk about Trump that much, which I think is actually okay. Like they should focus more about their policies. But yeah, they didn't talk about the economy that much. They talked a lot about like immigration, what else did they talk about? You know, they didn't talk about like, I think it would have been cool if they like asked them questions about like the Space Force and like going to Mars and stuff. Like I think that would have been cool to hear, you know, just kind of more interesting, like forward looking ideas instead of like negative kind of, you know, past looking ideas. I think it would have been cool for them to ask a little bit more interesting questions like that. But yeah, so that was pretty much it for night two. Started out slow, but did get pretty interesting. There's some good like back and forth, I'm sure, highlight clips that can be, you know, that can come out of it.